Once upon a time, pro football was played with more passion than pretense, by fierce, proud men wanting only a chance to compete. There was no television, no million-dollar contracts, no glory. Still, men were drawn to the game. Men who played for pocket change, for the love of the sport. Men such as Slingin' Sammy Baugh.
I don't think they had superstars in those days. You were just a football player and you did your job, and that's about what it amounted to.
Today, we have superstars. Some of our contemporary greats exhibit the classic winning virtues of yesteryear. Men such as Jerry Rice, whose work ethic and training regimen are old school tough. Men such as Chris Spielman, a linebacker whose trademark toughness would have made the founding fathers smile.
If I ever lay on the football field, which I never have, but if I do, please, one of your crew carry a pistol at our games and come out and just put me away. That's being tough.
Defensive tackle John Randall. Defensive end Bruce Smith. Modern day chips off a tough old block.
I made up my mind that I was not taking any prisoners and the wounded would be shot.
Detroit's Barry Sanders, a humble superstar, blazing broken fields. Green Bay's Brett Favre, a quarterback with vintage, old-time sensibilities.
Favre is on the run. Favre is down the sidelines. Favre, touchdown! He dived into the end zone, and the Packers score with 14 seconds to go.
What a lunge by Brett Favre. I've never seen anything like it, Jim. What a play. What a way to get this team into the playoffs.
San Francisco is a city of sights, and none is more cherished than Jerry Rice. He's widely regarded as the greatest receiver ever, an accolade he was aiming at before he ever played a single down.
As you go into the pros, what goals have you set for yourself?
Well, number one, I would like to be the all-time receiver. They have some great receivers here, and I'm trying to follow in their footsteps.
Rice has done exactly that, and then some. In his style, one can find traces of the game's immortals, the precise roots of Raymond Barry, the speed of Lance Allworth, and the hands of Fred Biletnikoff. Rice shares a special bond with each of these three Hall of Famers. For although the way the game is played has changed, the fundamental reason of why it is played has not.
It's really just for the love of the game. You know, I still have to pinch myself because I can't believe some of the things I have done here.
Highway 101 belongs to Jerry Rice. Next exit, Hall of Fame!
I always have set high standards for myself, and I would work hard to try to achieve those. I think the way I prepare myself during the off-season helps me during the season. And it's a very difficult workout. Whenever I challenge this hill, I make it a purpose not to quit. If there's no one else around, I'm not gonna quit. If you can endure this hill, you can endure anything because you're going to be tested. You know, that's just like the fourth quarter and you got a minute left in the ball game. If you're tired, either you're going to quit or somehow you're going to dig down deep and make that play to win the football game.
Throwing for the end zone, Rice leap, he's got it! Touchdown, 49ers!
I think people, they looking for me to slow down, to lose a step now so they can say, well, Jerry's losing it, but I'm not going to give them that opportunity.
Rice's old-fashioned work ethic is surprisingly old-fashioned in its source.
You know, if I didn't love this game, I wouldn't be doing this.
Rice is a lover of the game, but he's also a learner. His careful roots and sure hands originate from a methodical process of self-analysis.
I would prefer to catch the ball right here. If I catch it right here, I can put the ball away, also brace myself for the hit, and just roll up field and get ready to explode downfield.
For Rice, every cut is examined, every move replayed, yet the end result of his scientific approach often resembles fine art.
Launches it down the right side. Rice is there. Oh, my! A one-handed catch down the sideline. One of his greatest catches.
A lot of guys who look at film and they're not critical on themselves. And if you're not critical on yourself, you're not going to reach your potential.
Whether in a game or in practice, Rice hates to drop a pass. His work habits and self-critical attitude are reminiscent of the Baltimore Colts' Raymond Barry.
I hated to drop a football. It was what really motivated me to find some way not to drop them. And so that led to studying catching, defining it, and then developing a routine or a program in which every day, every week, I just drilled and drilled and drilled on making the catches that I did not know when they were going to come up in a game. I just knew they were sometime or another. What I learned, about the human body is that if it's trained and it's prepared, if it is drilled, it will react when you're not even thinking.
Many thought Barry's regimen obsessive, but his method wasn't fueled by madness.
I'm not sure that people really understood that I wasn't doing that strictly for the pleasure of it. It was a matter of necessity. I think a receiver at the professional level who gets by, without dominating speed, he's got to overachieve.
Like Barry, Rice also faced doubts about his ability to turn on the Jets.
Coming out of college, I was knocked because of my speed. I think I'm fast as I want to be.
What a play by Jerry Rice as he simply outran the defense.
So many guys that are faster, but when I put that uniform on, I believe I can't be caught. And if I get a step on you, I feel like I can't go the distance.
An 8-yard gain into a 50-yard touchdown, and they say he's not fast. Oh, he flew by people on that.
Speed was never an issue for Lance Allworth. He was off like a shot with each snap. What he shared in common with Rice was a deep-seated fear of failure, a fear that stemmed from an incident in his youth.
My dad looked at me and, he said, well, you think you played pretty good, didn't you? I said, yes, sir. Dad, I scored 2 touchdowns, and I did this, and I did that. And he said, well, you've had a great night, but I want you to remember this. I said, no matter how good you are, there's always going to be somebody who can do a little bit better. And I went through my whole career looking for somebody like that, looking for somebody that was better than me, and to prove to him that I was that good.
Allworth was not only good, he was the first AFL player inducted into the Hall of Fame, an honor that necessitated a call to Dad.
And I got on the phone, and my dad was on there, and I said, Dad, your son just got voted. I couldn't get out. I couldn't finish it. And, think it's emotional to me even right now. And I realized at that moment that all the things that I had done in professional football, I'd been trying to prove to him that I was that good.
Much like Allworth, Rice also enters each game haunted by a fear of failure.
I'm scared. When I play scared, I play my best football. I never go into a game where I feel like this game is won, it's going to be an easy football game. As a professional athlete, you're really afraid of failure.
Throws long for Rice down the sideline. He's got 77 yards.
The failures have been few and far between for Rice, particularly when the stakes are highest. The bigger the game, the better he plays.
I like having the weight on my shoulders. I think if you're going to be the best receiver to ever play the game, you're going to have to be able to take on the pressure of making the big plays.
Before Rice, a stickum-covered Raider named Fred Biletnikoff also relished the opportunity to make the big play.
I played in situations where I caught a lot of crucial passes, so I couldn't really afford to put myself in a position of dropping a pass. My role was, you know, from the line of scrimmage to basically the deepest 20 yards downfield, because, you know, I sure as hell wasn't going to beat anybody deep.
Whatever his limitations, Biletnikoff always found a way to score. His soft hands were the stuff of legend, and never were they more evident than in his MVP performance in Super Bowl XI.
You know, there's nothing more you can ask from football than going and winning a Super Bowl and being named most valuable player. If there's anybody's dream that plays football, that's it. You know, and that was it for me. You know, I was on cloud 9 for quite a few weeks after, for a year.
Like Biletnikoff, Rice also claimed MVP honors in his first Super Bowl. And that was only the beginning of a remarkable run.
You know, it's something I'll never forget, and maybe next year I'll get a chance to come back again.
Rice did come back, catching 3 touchdown passes in Super Bowl 24.
The boy is going to party tonight.
But it was his 3 touchdown performance in Super Bowl 29 that left him as the undisputed king of the big game.
You get to a point where you feel like, okay, you're the best receiver to ever play the game, and you have to go out and try to hold up to that tradition.
Rice has not only held up to that tradition, he's raised the standard for the future. As with other outstanding players, the source of his greatness can be narrowed to one basic drive.
Whenever the ball is up in the air, I believe the ball belongs to me. And that's the attitude that you have to have.
That attitude has put Rice in the company of Raymond Barry, Lance Allworth, Fred Biletnikoff, and alone atop the record book.
And he's into the end zone. He's done it. Jerry Rice is the touchdown scorer of the century.
I think after my career is all over, I'll have a chance to reflect back on all the records and be able to really appreciate those.
He's a bad man. He must be the greatest receiver.
But as long as I can stay aggressive, make the big plays, continue to stay around.
Defensive end Bruce Smith has represented the Buffalo Bills in 9 consecutive Pro Bowls.
No doubt I have a game face. I definitely have a game face. Once I put that uniform on, it's just something that comes over me. It's like I can't be beaten. If we're going to go into a battle, I'm not going to get my ass kicked. You're going to get your ass kicked. I think my play speaks for itself, and what I do on the field speaks so loudly, nobody can hear what I'm saying anyway.
Viking defensive tackle John Randall has started in the last 4 Pro Bowls.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Yeah, lock and load, baby! Lock and load!
Part of the game is feeling good when you're out there. That's what I do.
Don't let them boys over there know you, baby. Introduce yourself to them. Defense!
What I feel like doing, I just, that feeling I feel like doing, I just do it.
They don't want none of the Metrodome crew, huh? Yeah!
Sometimes I talk to the guard.
Come on, waiting to be a man, block me by yourself.
Talk to tackles.
Hey, man! Hey, hold it! Hold it on your big star in here! Rock and roll, baby! Rock and roll!
I even talk to the quarterback.
Hey, Connor! Hey, Connor, what's up, man? What up, homie? What up? What up, dog? Yes, sir!
John Randall, rabid, riled up, relentless, forceful, frightening, focused, described Bruce Smith. Their styles and personalities are radically different. Their goals are identical. In this regard, they're both kindred spirits with one of the most destructive defensive linemen of all time, Hall of Fame defensive end David Deacon Jones.
I've seen a lot of guys come up that had 10 times more talent than I did, but they just wasn't committed enough. They did not want it bad enough. You see, I had no place else to go. I made my announcement in training camp my rookie year. I'm here to stay. I'm not leaving, and nobody is sending me out. Being a 14th round draft choice and a salary of $7,500, the club ain't got very much invested in me. So the only chance that I have is to open my mouth. So I threatened people. I told them I was going to tear their heads off, and I went out there and I did that. It was a dream come true. Football was going to be it, nothing else. I mean, there was nothing else on my agenda. So I made up my mind that I was not taking any prisoners, and the wounded would be shot.
Deacon's present-day charm belies the origins of his gridiron greatness.
I love it because I come from the ghetto. I had a lot of hostilities in my heart and soul because of the circumstances that I was raised on. I had hostilities stacked up like dirty clothes in the corner. Football allowed me the pleasure of releasing those hostilities because I got a chance to get down in there in the pit and I got a chance to hit something. Competition was what made me go, and the hate of quarterbacks.
Jones invented the term quarterback sack.
Sacking the cornerback is just like you devastate a city, or you cream a multitude of people. Like you put all the offensive players in one bag, and I just take a baseball bat and beat on the bag.
The sentiment sounds different in 90s vernacular.
Big dog's gotta eat. Big dog gotta eat. Big dog gotta eat, huh?
The objective remains the same.
My job is to get to the quarterback and to destroy anything in my path. It's fun when you get to him and you beat one of those guys in front and you get to turn around and laugh in their face.
It's a one-on-one battle between that offensive tackle and myself. And I'm gonna win.
In the pit, everything is real quick. You got guys going down, you got guys going up, you hear a lot of noise. All sorts of stuff going on front.
Nice throw, Kramer. That wasn't on me. It's all right. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
I don't talk very much at all. If a player incidentally puts his hand in my face mask or does something that's not to my liking, I'll say something to him, and that'll be the end of it. After the first warning, there's definitely going to be some bodies thrown around and tossed around, and maybe a head slap here and there.
Deacon Jones invented the head slap, and in his day, it was legal.
It was the greatest move, I think, in the history of football. I think if they'd have analyzed it a little bit better, they would have let it stay in.
The head slap was to give myself an initial head start on the pass rush, because anytime you go upside a man's head, then they have a tendency to blink their eyes, and that was all I needed.
I mean, there's just so many rules in the game now that it's taken all the violence out of it, in my estimation. I don't think half these guys could play back when the rules was really football rules.
Well,
This movie is rated R.
Adult language and violence. Lots of it.
Guys don't have to play 60 minutes, you know, and I don't think the chumps can play 60 minutes. I think they're gutless.
Hey, baby, are y'all convinced now?
I am not losing this game. No way, man. No way. I worked too hard. Let's go, man. Hey, it's on us, man.
Few modern defensive linemen meet the Deacons' high standards.
Craig is back to pass, pressured by Randall, tipped up, picked off, intercepted.
Perennial Pro Bowlers Bruce Smith and John Randall are two who do.
You know, I think John Randall with the Minnesota Vikings is the most underrated player to ever play the game of football. We take our two guards and our center and we take him out of the game, but it never seems to work. Every pass I drop back and throw, he's hitting my feet. People ought to isolate their eyes on John Randall and watch him play. He is just a phenomenal player.
Bruce is a terrific athlete at that position. He's just so quick and he has great vision. And then he has the ability to get off the ball and just beat a guy one-on-one on a pass rush. And he's the kind of defensive player that can change a game.
Denver looks, he's sacked. The Bills are going to win it.
Time for the big dogs to eat, damn it. Hey, time for the big dog to go.
He's a guy that's just 100 miles an hour every single play. And the thing about it that I think is great is he's just out there like he's just a little kid having the time of his life.
His arms are so long and he's so strong that he can actually rip you, you know, just grab your jersey and throw you to the ground.
I haven't found another job yet that'll pay me $1 million that I can go out and kick the shit out of somebody and not have to go to jail.
Bruce Smith, John Randall, NFL Throwbacks. Back in the days of the flying wedge and leather helmets, the big draw was Chicago's Red Grange, the first of the broken field runners. Long after the galloping ghost disappeared, Willie Gallimore suited up for the Bears, and for 7 seasons, Willie the Wisp dazzled defenders and all who watched. So coveted were the moves of Ollie Matson, the Rams traded 9 players to the Chicago Cardinals just to get a hold of them. But of all the early backs, none was harder to get a hold of than the king, Hugh McElhenney. Years later, these men still captivate one of today's greatest runners.
I always like to watch running backs. The thing about those guys, it seemed like all of them had their own style and they were all great. And one way to get me to sit down as a kid and get my attention was if a football game was on and one of those guys were playing, I was right there locked in.
When Barry Sanders watches himself, he sees snippets of the Wisp and the King and realizes that he's a throwback to the game breakers of yesteryear.
I've always been sort of fascinated with trying to make people miss, and to me that seems more challenging almost than really almost any other aspect of the game.
Holy mackerel, what a run by Barry Sanders. That is one of the more incredible runs that you will ever see.
Obviously, it's a very dangerous game, and I think because of that, because of, you know, most men like the challenge, the physical challenge, and the fact that it's very dangerous adds a sort of excitement to it.
Barry is so unique, it seems unfair to compare him to anyone. Yet he does bear a striking resemblance to one past great. His name was Gale Sayers. They called him the Kansas Comet, and when he looks back at footage of his remarkable feats, he too reacts with a sense of wonder.
I wasn't amazed, but I enjoyed seeing it again and seeing what I did.
Give me 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need.
I never tried to analyze, well, how did I do that? I did it, and so I enjoyed seeing the films of my moves because I had some moves nobody else had.
Everyone thought there would never be another Gale Sayers. They were right. And there will never be another Barry Sanders, but in many respects, they're one and the same.
I think my style is more reactionary. The fact that I was never the type of runner that could run straight through someone. I always had to find another way to get around them.
I didn't get hit that, tough too many times. Usually they got a leg, they got an arm, they got a jersey.
Basically, I'll just run by what I see, and so it's not always where the play is designed or whatever.
I can't see directly in back of me, but I can see on the side of me, and I can feel people. When somebody's coming up behind you, well, I better do this or I better do that. So it's more than vision, it's a feel.
Survival pretty much sums up the tools. I mean, I've seen spins or jumps or jukes and stuff like that, but basically it's all just survival.
Both grew up in Wichita. Both played at Big 8 schools and later for NFC Central teams. Sayers never played for a champion. Barry has yet to. Fate seemed to link the two from the start, but the end came far too soon for one. At age 28, after 2 knee surgeries, Gale Sayers' career was cut short. He played in only 68 games, the youngest player ever inducted into the Hall of Fame. Today, his legacy is carried on, and number 40 considers number 20 a worthy successor.
I can see some things in him that I did. I think Barry Sanders is the most exciting running back today because he does so much to get yards when he's running. I did things like that. He may be a little quicker. His moves may be more compact.
Craig to Barry, 35, 40, breaks it open, look out! He's to the 50, near side 40, it's a sprint. 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Barry Sanders, 65 yards and a touchdown!
Anybody can run, 90 yards or run 40 yards, where Barry Sanders, he's making a couple moves in the backfield just to get to the line of scrimmage. And that was the enjoyment of football for me.
Brilliant! What a sight! It's the greatest running back in the national.
The way they run seems similar, but if you look deeper, you discover the most meaningful bond: why they run. As a rookie, Sayers scored a record 6 touchdowns in 1 game. He couldn't have cared less. Winning was important. Setting records was not.
The thing was to win a ball game. And once you got ahead by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, you take out the first string and put in the reserves. I didn't play hardly any of the fourth quarter. So the way we was going, I could have scored 8 touchdowns. There's no doubt in my mind.
In the 60s, everyone put team goals ahead of personal milestones. But with the attention given today's stars, it's tougher to do. Not for Barry, a throwback in the richest sense.
I like to be remembered as someone who came out and despite the attention and comparisons and critics or whatever else, I just came out and I took care of business on the field.
2nd and 5 at the 46. Mitchell with a pitch to Barry, sweeping to the right side. Touchdown, McDonald! What a cut! Inside the 40, down to the 35. Breaks loose again into the middle, down to the 20, down to the 15, down to the 10. Drakeford can catch him. No! Into the end zone. Touchdown, Lions!
In the end, there's another comet in the NFL. It burns as bright as the first. You can see him every Sunday, sidestepping defenders, making magic and history once more. In 1996, after 8 seasons as the Detroit Lions' leading tackler, linebacker Chris Spielman joined the Buffalo Bills. Not surprisingly, Spielman led his new team in tackles and helped the Bills earn a spot in the NFL playoffs. He seemed destined for NFL stardom. A high school All-American and a Lombardi Trophy winner at Ohio State, Spielman arrived in the NFL with a toughness that's become his trademark.
Being tough means to me that if I ever lay down on a football field, please, one of your crew carry a pistol at our games and come out and just put me away. That's being tough. If I ever lay on the football field, which I never have, but if I do, I would like the NFL to grab a high-powered rifle and put me out of my misery right there.
Such toughness is not new to pro football. During the 1960s, the Green Bay Packers were pro football's dominant team. Their defense was designed to funnel all the action toward one man. He was the Packers' leading tackler, a mild-mannered family man who turned downright mean on Sunday. Hall of Fame middle linebacker, Ray Nitschke.
My greatest strength, I think, is the way my intensity to play the position. You know, I played every down as hard as I possibly could. Playing linebacker, you have to play the run and pass both, and the screens and the draws, and I thought I was a complete middle linebacker.
Chris Spielman plays football the way Ray Nitschke used to. But there was no Wheaties box for an Illinois teenager orphaned at age 13. Ray Nitschke carried the chip that life placed on his shoulder into battle. Like Nitschke, Chris Spielman is a serious competitor.
That's good, man. Get out of here. The only thing that I want as a player is respect of the guys that I play against. I could care less what the average Joe thinks. I want the respect of the guys that are in the battle.
You play with a lot of spirit and with a lot of determination, a lot of inspiration. And I know Lombardi appreciated me because there's times when he took me on the side and complimented me, and I always felt very proud.
During the season, I think I would prepare probably out of the 15 hours a day that I'm up, I'd probably prepare 14 hours a day for the opponent.
Playing linebacker, I think that's a tough guy image, but there's more to it. I was a student of the game, and a lot of people don't realize that.
I'm always putting this pressure on myself and to do this, to do that, to be best, to be the best, to be the best, to be the best, and to win the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. And what do I have to do today to do that?
His Hall of Fame prototype can look back on a career rich in both individual achievement and team accomplishment.
Just being part of the Green Bay Packers in the glory years and playing in those 6 World Championship games and winning 5 of them, playing in the first Super Bowl game, that was a big thrill. When we won our 2nd Super Bowl, you know, we knew that Lombardi was leaving coaching, and they won the Ice Bowl game, and we went down in Miami and beat the Oakland Raiders in the 2nd Super Bowl game. You have to be a team because a team wins. It's not individuals that win. It's the team that wins.
No player alive strives for a Vince Lombardi trophy more than the man cut from Ray Nitschke's cloth.
My only goal, ever since I walked into this league, that supersedes any other goal, is to win a Super Bowl. That's all that I think about. If you walk in the locker room and you look on top of my locker, you'll see one sign that says Super Bowl champs. The only thing that matters, and anything less is failure. My future is to be a Super Bowl champion. I honestly swear to God today, believe this, that that is my destiny. I believe that since I could talk, walk, think, that I want to walk off that field as Super Bowl champion.
He's taken on the best of his era, finished on top, and he's never once laid down on a football field. 3 decades separate Chris Spielman and Ray Nitschke, but playing with pain, playing with pride, and playing with passion are virtues that will unite them forever.
Kramer from the 20. Back to throw over the middle. Caught Gedney, the tight end, but he is stolen! Stolen by Spielman! 10, 5, touchdown! Lions, Chris Spielman!
It's such a privilege to be a part of the NFL. And it's not a privilege for the NFL to have me in it. And I realize that every day, and I thank God every day for the opportunity that I do have, and I take advantage of that opportunity.
I want to say this before everybody, it was my 1905 spike in tribute to all the old-timers that played this game. It really was. It really was. I said to myself, if I was ever going to score, I was going to go in there like the old-timers and throw the ball down in like a end zone like we used to do.
Come on now, knock him out, knock him out. Red right, Fox 3 weak on 1. Ready? Come on now, let's go. Blue 58! Blue 58 tonight!
And a perfect throw by Brett Favre.
And his remarkable talent and determination are reminders of those who've gone before. Touchdown passes.
No Brett Favre again checking out at the line of scrimmage.
And the desire not to be denied on a scoring scramble.
End zone and just breaks the play and scores the touchdown for the Green Bay Packers.
The Super Bowl was the crowning achievement for this modern-day throwback who's making a name for himself as the quarterback of the 90s.
Pass thrown by Brett Favre. Brett Favre's blowing the game open.
Brett Favre is something else, and this is a big game tonight.
Brett Favre, the NFL's ultimate throwback.
My wife, Leon, and I have missed only 11 Packers games in the past 70 years. It's just a tremendous privilege to be able to get over to all those games. My name is Mel Kanoki, and I feel the power